You think you are you. You think your name, your story, your past, your personality is who you are. But Osho said, that voice in your head is not you. He said, the ego is an illusion, a shadow pretending to be solid. And if that's true, then who are you really? This is not a philosophical question. This is the question. Because everything you do, everything you fear, everything you want, comes from the answer you carry, to who you think you are. And if that answer is wrong, then your entire life might be a dream. Osho didn't teach you to build an identity. He taught you how to burn it. He didn't ask you to fix the ego. He asked you to see through it. Because no matter how strong it feels, no matter how loud it gets, the ego is not real. It's a mask, a collection of memories, beliefs, expectations, held together by fear. Fear of what? Fear of nothing. Literally, nothing. Because if you let the ego drop, you'll face what's underneath. The silence, the emptiness, the unknown. And most people would rather live in a painful identity than surrender to the freedom of not knowing who they are. But Osho invites you to surrender anyway, not because it's safe, but because it's true. So in this video, we're not going to strengthen your self-image, we're going to challenge it, break it apart, until nothing is left. And what remains might not be a self, but it might be freedom. Let's begin. Because here's the truth. Everything you call me is just an echo. You were born without a name, without a belief, without an identity. Then people started labeling you smart, stubborn, kind, lazy, boy, girl, successful, failure. And slowly, the echo became a voice. The voice became a habit, and the habit became you. But that you is a cage, and the bars of that cage are made of thoughts. Osho said, the ego is not who you are. It's who you think you are. And thinking is not being. The ego needs conflict to feel real. It needs comparison, validation, resistance. That's why it always looks for drama. Why it's never satisfied. Why it clings to pain, even when peace is possible. Because peace would mean its death. And so the ego fights, even against your own awakening. It says, don't let go. Don't be still. Don't question too much. Just be like them. Just stay safe. But safe bet is not free. And Osho didn't come to make you safe. He came to show you the fire and say, walk through. Because on the other side of the ego, there is no one left to protect. But there is something else. Stillness, vastness, awareness without form. That is the beginning, the death of illusion, the birth of presence. Are you ready to die as a someone, to be reborn as no one? Because that's where we're going. Not forward, but inward. Not toward more, but toward nothing. And maybe that nothing is everything. Let's go deeper. What is the ego, really? It's not a demon. It's not evil. It's a tool that forgot it was a tool. It was created to help you function, to survive, to navigate the world. But somewhere along the way, you started believing it was you. You gave it your name, your voice, your face, and now it speaks for you, reacts for you, decides for you, even when it hurts you. Because here's the truth, the ego is terrified. terrified of being ignored, of being laughed at, of being invisible, of being wrong, of being no one. So it builds stories, loud ones, emotional ones, defensive ones. Stories where you are always the hero or the victim, always right or always misunderstood. And you carry those stories like armor. But what if that armor is also a prison? Osho said, "The ego is like a shadow. Try to grab it, and it disappears. Just turn on the light, and it's gone." That light is awareness. When you become aware of the voice in your head, you create distance. You begin to notice how reactive it is, how needy, how repetitive, how addicted to identity. You start seeing your thoughts, not as truth. And in that simple shift, something breaks open. You laugh. Because for the first time, you see how seriously you've taken the mask, how long you've been wearing it, defending it, polishing it, as if it were your face. But it's not your face. It's your fiction. And now, it's time to take it off. But here's the danger. The ego doesn't like being exposed, so it shifts. It puts on a new costume. Now it says, "I am spiritual. I am awakened. I am better because I meditate. I am nothing, and I'm proud of it." And suddenly, you're still caught. Only this time the trap looks holy. Osho warned against the spiritual ego more than any other, because it's subtle, because it hides behind robes and rituals, because it uses enlightenment as another identity. He said, "The moment you say, 'I am enlightened,' enlightenment is lost. The ego has entered through the back door." So what's the way out? Silence, not forced silence, but the silence that comes when you stop trying to be someone, when you drop the need to impress, the need to convince, the need to control. You become empty. And in that emptiness, something true can finally emerge. Not a new identity, but a presence. A presence that watches, but doesn't judge. That feels, but doesn't cling. That sees, but doesn't label. Osho called it the witness. The witness is your true nature, not the doer, not the thinker, not the achiever, but the one who sees. And from that space, you realize something shocking. You don't need to be anyone, because awareness itself is enough. No image to protect, no title to chase, no past to explain. Just this, just now, just being. And in that being, the ego has no ground left to stand on. It collapses, not in defeat, but in peace, because it was never the enemy. It was just afraid of the very thing you are, freedom. This is why Osho's teachings were so radical. He didn't teach you how to fix your ego. He taught you how to witness it, until it dissolved. No therapy, no self-improvement, just awareness. Because once you see the ego as a mask, you stop needing to wear it. And that moment, that exact moment of clarity, is liberation. But beware, the mind will come back. It will whisper, "This is boring. This isn't helping. You should be doing something. You should be someone." Let it whisper. Don't fight it. Don't argue. Just watch it. Like clouds passing through the sky. That sky is you. The thoughts, the emotions, the identities, they come and go. But the witness stays. Osho said, "Only the witness is eternal. Everything else is borrowed. Everything else will die. So let it die. Let your roles die. Let your opinions die. Let even your idea of I fade. And in that death, you'll find something you never expected. Stillness. Joy without reason. A freedom that asks for nothing. And once you've tasted that, you'll never be fooled by ego again. Not because you fought it, but because you saw through it. Not by effort, but by insight. By watching so deeply that the watcher becomes your only reality. This is not a destination. It's not a state to achieve. It's what has always been here, beneath the noise. You don't become awakened. You remember you were never asleep. The ego dreams. The witness wakes. And in waking, you don't find answers. You find space. You find a quiet that doesn't need fixing. A presence that doesn't need proof. And when you live from that space, the world still moves. But you are no longer moved by it. Because you've stopped mistaking the movie for the screen. And you've realized the screen is you. So now the question is not, who am I? But rather, who is asking? Because the one who asks is also the illusion. The ego builds its strength on questions. It survives on problems. It grows through identification. But when you stop feeding it, when you stop trying to be someone, something beautiful happens. You fall into yourself. Not the self with a story, but the self without edges. A silence that doesn't need a name. A presence that doesn't perform. This is not death. This is the end of pretending. You are not the thinker. You are the space where thinking happens. You are not the waves. You are the ocean. And once you realize this, life becomes simple. You no longer seek validation, because there's no one left to validate. You no longer chase meaning, because being is enough. You live, not for a purpose, but from presence. And in that presence, there is no ego left to defend. There is just this breath, stillness, awareness. And it's not yours, it's not you. It just is. That is freedom. And Osho was not here to give you more beliefs. He was here to burn every belief, until all that remained was this silence. He said, "Drop the idea of becoming someone because you are already a masterpiece. You cannot be improved. You have only to come to it, to know it, to realize it. So come to it, not through struggle, but through surrender, not through effort, but through attention. And when the ego finally dissolves, you won't become someone better. You'll become no one. And in that, you'll find everything. But don't be surprised. When the ego returns, it will knock again, disguised as a new role, a new goal, a new identity to chase. It will say, you're not doing enough. You need to be someone again. Just one more achievement, one more recognition, and then you'll be whole. Smile at it, not with contempt, but with compassion, because the ego is not your enemy. It's a child, afraid of disappearing. But you've seen what it cannot, that you don't need to exist as a story to be real. You just need to be still, present, empty. And when that emptiness is embraced, it becomes the most full thing there is. Osho said, "The moment you accept yourself as you are, all conflict disappears. All noise turns into music. All chaos becomes dance. So let the ego dance. Let it come and go, like a wave. But stay rooted, as the ocean. The more you rest as the witness, the less you are pulled by roles. You become effortless. You become light. And in that lightness, you no longer need truth, because you've become it. This is the end of seeking, and the beginning of seeing, and what you see is simple. You were never the mask. You were always the mirror. And that mirror reflects nothing, but in that nothing is everything. This was Osho speech. Thank you for listening with presence. Until the next video, stay awake, stay silent, and stay true.